The largest SQL injection attack in history happened in 2008. During this attack, hackers stole over 100 million payment cards. So it's really important for you as a software developer to understand what exactly is SQL injection, its different type, and how you can prevent it. And this is exactly what I'm going to share in this video. But before anything else, let me share a quick demo. And this demo will help you to understand how hackers use SQL injections to any website. Okay, so here you can see a simple web page with a basic login screen. It has two text boxes, one for the username and second for the password. Now let me show you how this login screen validates username and password using C# code. Here it runs a query against a SQL server to simply check the username and password. And if it is successful, it will redirect the user to dashboard page, otherwise it will display a message, invalid username or password. It is straightforward, right? Before I jump to demo, let me show you one last thing, the SQL table design. It's a very simple table which holding username, password and other information. And the passwords are stored in the database in an encrypted format. As you can see, you can read the username, but passwords are in encrypted format. So for the username admin, its password is admin123, but it is in encrypted form, so you can't read it directly. And of course, it is one of the best practice. Now let me share a practical demo using SQL injection. Even the passwords are encrypted, still a hacker can manage to log into the website. First thing first, this application has been specifically designed for education purpose only. Okay, so it's launched in a browser and I will log in as an admin. And the password is admin123. And once I enter the username password, it will redirect me to dashboard page, where I can see a message, you have passed the login security and reached to the dashboard. And also it's telling me that I'm logged in as admin. It is working, right? Now let's say a hacker tries to attack the site and he has no idea about the password. So he will try to use SQL injection, and here is how. Simply enter admin single quote and then _1 in the username field. And enter any value in the password field. And then just click on the login button. Wow, you can see SQL injection is working here. Let's see in more details why it works. The input is an example of SQL injection attack payload. It is a type of in-band SQL injection. I will share 3 types of SQL injection later part in the video, but for now, let's try to understand why this SQL injection is working in this case. The single quote is used to close the string literal for the username, and __ in SQL is a command sequence. And everything after __ is ignored by the SQL engine. When you input SQL injection attack payload into the username field and any value for the password field, the resulting SQL look like this. Here the __ comments out the rest of the query, effectively ignoring the password condition. This way the query only checks if there is a user with the username admin and bypassing the password check entirely. In this case, you could argue hacker was aware about the username. But let me share some other example where hacker has no idea about the username and password, but still he can use SQL injection. In this case, the hacker might use an input like this for the username field and any value for the password field. This input creates a condition that always evaluates to true, and it allows the attacker to bypass the login process. And the resulting query look like this. Now you know SQL injection is really a serious security problem. So the next $1 million question is how we can avoid it, how we can prevent it, how we can make sure our application is SQL injection proof. I will share everything, but for now, let me share 3 important aspects. The first is what exactly is SQL injection? SQL injection is critical security vulnerability that occurs when an attacker manipulates a SQL query by injecting malicious SQL code through an application's input field. And this allows the attacker to execute some random SQL queries in the database, and he can gain access to sensitive information. Not even this, he can delete, update, and compromise the entire system. SQL injection affects all SQL databases like Oracle, PostgreSQL, MySQL, etc. And it can occur in various operating systems and programming languages. SQL injection type. There are 3 main types: in-band, blind, and out-of-band injections. The first is in-band. This is one of the most common type of SQL injection, and this is exactly what I demonstrated earlier in this video. In this, attacker used the same communication channel for both injecting the SQL code and retrieving the results. And the second is blind SQL injection. In this type of SQL injection, hacker doesn't expect any response or any result, but he can notice the behavior of an application. For example, he can make the application slow or completely shut down. So if I go back to the query and try to shut down the SQL server for everyone. In this, attacker cannot see the results directly, but will notice that the application is down after the injection. As you can see, the SQL server is shut down. And the third is out-of-band SQL injection. It is less common and involved using a different communication channel for the attacker to receive the results for an injected SQL query. It can be HTTP based or DNS based. Now you know everything about the SQL injection. Let's try to understand how you can prevent SQL injection at the first place. I will share 3 best practices that you can use from day one. The first is input validation and sanitization. Validate and sanitize all user input to enforce expected format and values. So now with the added input validation, we can effectively stop SQL injection attacks. This means that the attacker will not able to use any malicious code to compromise the system. I'm using client-side validation to protect the system, but of course, you can use both client-side and server-side validation. The second is you can use parameterized queries, stored procedure, or link. So for example, by using parameterized queries, it ensures user inputs are treated as data and not executable code. And the third best practice is principle of least privilege. Grant the minimum database user privilege necessary for the application to function. With all the security measures in place, your application is much more secure and in better position. And of course, as a programmer, as a software developer, you should not focus on coding only, but also on the database aspect. And of course, security is an important factor here. For any organization in the world, their data is one of the important aspects for them. And of course, you should write code to protect their data. The journey to become a software developer is not always easy, and there may be some hiccups along the way. If you're thinking about making a good career as a software developer, or you're confused, should you join or not, then I will encourage you to watch this video, why you should not become a software developer. I hope it helps, and thank you for watching.